Testing. Good morning, teachers and staff of Valley Prep, board members, family members, and class of 2014. Hi, I'm Dylan Fashionpour, and I am your future. Ever since I was in kindergarten, I've always wanted to speak at my 8th grade graduation. When I sat down to finally have the chance to write my speech, I pulled out the last 10 years of yearbooks, and as I looked through them, my mind was flooded with memories. I began to write down all the memories as they came to mind, and felt myself anxious to speak. I've never spoken to a crowd this size before, so I wondered if I would be nervous, but now that I'm here, I know the last 10 years of my life at Valley Prep have prepared me for such moments as this. And now I know I'm ready to give my speech. But first, let me take a selfie. When I look out in the crowd, not only do I see my parents, family members, and friends, I see my last 10 years at Valley Prep. I see all of the memories over the years and all the teachers that are sitting before me today. I can see myself in Mrs. Bean and Mrs. Floriano's class, where it all started. It was a new experience for me, because instead of a half day, I had a full day of school. I was really excited about it. That first day was where I met Philip, Roxy, Siashi, Elizabeth, Lily, and Hargray. So, after the school day ended, my mom, of course, wanted me to tell her how my first day of school was. So I told her, well, my friend Siashi, she's brown. We played together today. Or in 4th grade with Mrs. Gauntlett and the Jibba Jabba doll. Luckily for us, she got her stress and anger out on that doll instead of us. And in 1st grade with Miss Cafidi, we had the rule-breaking word wall where we hung all words that didn't sound like they were spelled. So of course we put her name up there because everyone thought it was Scaffi instead of Scafidi. That was also the year that Rodrigo threw up at Destiny. And with Mrs. Pendry in 2nd, 3rd, and 5th grade. There were countless fun times in her class, but I learned something very interesting being in a class for that long. I learned that 3 years just wasn't enough, because I would make the occasional visit into her classroom trying to blend in with the real 5th graders. It's kind of funny trying to go back to 5th grade because that was probably the worst year for all of us. Looks-wise, not academic-wise. In fact, I wasn't the only one that had her for 3 years. Roxy and Siashi also did as well. So getting the short end of the stick, she is the only elementary teacher that had to put up with our nonsense for 3 years. And again, with Mrs. Bean and Miss Floriano in pre-K, where I learned to tie my shoes and that I was going to marry Lily D, an old classmate of ours, and have 10 kids named Dylan and Lily Jr. Really had my life planned out back then. And in Miss Kane and Miss Hampton's class, when Paige, another classmate of ours, and I were running back from delivering the daily paperwork to the office, and she tripped and fell on the asphalt, and I just going back into the classroom like nothing had happened. And after noticing that I was back and Paige wasn't, Miss Kane asked, Dylan, where's Paige? And me answering, well, she fell outside when we were coming back from the office. Miss Kane saying, what? Why didn't you help her? And me responding, well, I wanted to finish my work. So kids, if this doesn't teach you not to run in the halls, I don't know what will. Even though we had a lot of fun times during elementary school, we were still learning and getting prepared for middle school. Don't think the fun times stopped there. For instance, in science with Mrs. Whitaker, Philip wasn't doing what he was supposed to, and Mrs. Whitaker immediately said, Philip, what are you doing? And Philip, with his confused, innocent look on his face, didn't know what to say, and Mrs. Whitaker immediately said, Philip. And it stuck, so now every time Philip acts up or does something wrong in class, Mrs. Witter can always say, "Philip!" Or with Mrs. Willis, or as I call her, my girl Carrie. In computer and yearbook class, she made it one of my 2 favorite classes. So she had me since pre-K, and there are too many just fun stories to tell about her. Or in music with Mr. Barry and all his funny, corny jokes he would tell in class. And you're right, Mr. Barry, I will miss those. And then in Spanish class with Senora Carter, where we made the funniest videos of all time in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Or in math. At the beginning of the year with Mr. Hoke, he saw my username for a math website being DDogFash, and basically for the rest of the time he was at the school, he would call me D-Dog. I'm sad to say that we really didn't see Mr. Hoke after he left, but we had Mrs. Golub to help us whenever we needed help, and reminded me every time I acted up in class that I was lucky she knew my family. And then in PE, with Mrs. Breckley, whenever I would kick a soccer ball over or throw a frisbee over the fence, she would come up to me and say, "Oh, I'm just gonna give you a knuckle sandwich." And last but certainly not least, in Mr. Schutz's class. He made learning about dead people so fun, there are countless memories with him. But one famous thing that he would do is if someone would blurt out a question, he would tell the student to raise their hand, and immediately after they raised their hand, he would tell them to put their hand down. Being together so long, we know a lot about each other. Like I bet you didn't know that Josh's record for most apples eaten in a day is in the 30s. Or that when Roxy talks when she is upset, her voice goes up about 4 octaves. Or Philip didn't know what a hickey was until about a month ago when he came up in English class and Mr. Reese had to explain it to him. Another funny story, by the way. Or another funny thing about Roxy is in every single art class that we have, every project that we do, every single line has to be perfect or she erases it and tries again. I could go on forever, but I'll spare you the time. Now I know that my classmates are very sad about leaving the school and their friends at Valley Prep, as am I. But Dr. Seuss once said, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened." And we definitely have a lot to smile about. I'm confident that Valley Prep has prepared us for our future, and I'm confident that we are all ready for the next step. And in the words of Birds of Tokyo's song Lanterns, as we walk out, and without question and without doubt, and the light that we have found, it is finally clear. Our day has come, and we will stand for who we are. We are ready, and we are young, and we have nothing to fear. Thank you.